Hey everyone, welcome to Dustin the Blind Minnesotan. Today I want to talk about some bus lines or bus routes, whatever you want to call them, that the state of Minnesota should create. Dustin the Blind Minnesotan podcast, our purpose here is to help the disabled community across the state of Minnesota, but some of the things like bus lines help more people than just the disabled community. Also, I like bus lines over things like trains or all that kind of stuff because a bus line you can adjust. Bus lines are flexible. Bus lines are adaptable. Bus lines, you can this bus route is actually successful. We need to carry more people. And then you can get a bigger bus. And then when you're building a bus line, you don't have to destroy a whole street to put the transportation in. Trains can move more people, and trains can move people faster. I agree with that. So, for example, between downtown Minneapolis and downtown St. Paul, that route for a train actually makes sense because there's thousands of people living in downtown Minneapolis and there's thousands of people living in downtown St. Paul. Having a bus route between them, it's not going to work because you're going to need 30 buses going back and forth just in 1 hour. So it makes sense for a train. And then a train between downtown Minneapolis and Eden Prairie makes sense because along that extension from downtown Minneapolis to Eden Prairie, they're building hundreds and hundreds of luxury apartments for the Minnesota elite to move into. So if you can afford $3,000 a month rents, and you want to live in a very walkable neighborhood, you're going to want to move into all those new apartments that they're building in Eden Prairie along the new train route. Because a lot of the elites who can afford those $3,000 a month rents, a lot of them work in all the office jobs in downtown Minneapolis and downtown St. Paul anyways. So they're lawyers, doctors, they run businesses. So it makes sense to have those people live on the train. So then those hundreds of elite Minnesotans who do office jobs, that are lawyers, doctors, more of those things can just hop on the train and get into downtown Minneapolis where their workers and jobs are. So the one building the train down to Eden Prairie makes sense because a lot of the elites want to live out in suburbs and where it's safe, and they want to have all their stores walking distance from them. And because downtown Minneapolis wasn't designed that way, you have to build cities like that in the suburbs where there's actually land to design things that way. And then you don't want hundreds of elites driving into downtown, plugging up the roads, causing traffic jams. So it makes sense why they will put a train in, so then people like me who are not elite, when we want to go to downtown, we can take the city bus and we're not going to be sitting in traffic for 2 hours. So, because all the elite people are taking the train in. So it makes sense to put the train there, but it does not make sense to put the train through North Minneapolis and then through Robbinsdale through Brooklyn Center and into Brooklyn Park, because those people are blue collar workers. Do you think if you build the train they're going to use it because they work at the restaurants, the stores, and all that in the suburbs? They have no need to come into downtown. They have no need to hop on the train to come to downtown Minneapolis. There's no need for that. Because a lot of them that live out like Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, New Hope, Crystal, a lot of them, they work in Maple Grove. They work in Plymouth, in the retail stores, at the fast food restaurants, and all that stuff. So those guys, because of their jobs, they do construction. They don't need a massive train going into their neighborhoods and disrupting everything. And also trains, they have to rip out roads, close businesses, and all that stuff just to put the tracks through. And the blue collar workers, they don't need to go to downtown, because if I can work at Cubs in the suburbs where it's safe, where no one's going to come in and steal my car, and I live in like Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, the blue collar suburbs, I would just go work in a suburb place like Maple Grove, Plymouth, Columbia Heights, Fridley, Blaine. And we're not the elite class, so we don't have to go to downtown for all our work. So why waste money and put a big fancy train through a neighborhood of people who do not want it and do not need it? But the story is different for the people who are moving into those elite apartments down in Eden Prairie, because those people are office workers and they make their money in downtown. So it makes sense for them to train in the downtown because that's where they make their money. So, but the reason why I'm making this podcast episode is because this podcast episode is going to talk about the transit that we kind of do need. We need more city buses that go from suburb to suburb in the blue-collar world than transit that goes to downtown Minneapolis. Because the blue-collar world and the white-collar world are two different worlds, but the elites that are running the state in St. Paul don't understand that. Because they're in St. Paul, they don't understand how the Minneapolis side of the river works, because they're on the St. Paul side of the river, but they're making policy for the Minneapolis side of the river. So in this podcast episode, I'll be talking what kind of transit we do need in the blue-collar metros, that areas of Minneapolis that we do need, that the governor and these elites in St. Paul are not noticing or not taking advantage of. The first bus line we need is a Maple Grove to Columbia Heights bus line. It needs to go from the Maple Grove Transit Center to the Brooklyn Center Transit Center, and then it needs to go from the Brooklyn Center Transit Center to the Columbia Heights Transit Center. Because the reason why that bus route is needed, because all these people in Hilltop, Blaine, and Fridley, they do those kind of retail jobs and construction jobs and stuff. So if they can take the 10 bus from Southern Blaine, they can or through Fridley and get off in Columbia Heights at the Columbia Heights Transit Center, they can get on that bus and they can take the bus from Columbia Heights to downtown Maple Grove at the Maple Grove Transit Center. And then once they're at the Maple Grove Transit Center, they can work at all the shops and all the restaurants in downtown Maple Grove. And then people in Brooklyn Center who are looking for work, instead of them working in Brooklyn Park and only be restricting to Brooklyn Park, they can also hop on that bus and work in Maple Grove. And then, because Maple Grove, the stores in Maple Grove and the shops in Maple Grove are having difficulties finding workers. But if low-income workers or blue-collar workers like me can get to Maple Grove, we can work in all the stores in Maple Grove. But we just need a good bus line that can take us from Columbia Heights, that's a blue-collar work city, through Brooklyn Center, that's a blue-collar work city, to Maple Grove, that's a white-collar city. So then, if we can get from our blue-collar suburb cities to go work in a white-collar suburb like Maple Grove, it will provide us more job opportunities. And also because Maple Grove is the most important shopping area of all northern Minnesota, it will be, and thousands of people go there. It will give us more job stability because when a store opens in Maple Grove, they barely close. They barely go out of business. They're some of the most stable retail jobs out there. So if us blue-collar workers in Columbia Heights, Brooklyn Center can get to Maple Grove, we would have more job opportunities and we would have more money. And then people in Maple Grove, the elites who live in Maple Grove, would be happy because when they go to Cubs, there's not a long line at the grocery store. When they go to Costco, there's not a long line at the grocery store. When they go to Walmart, there's not a long line at the grocery store. When they go out to eat, they get quick, good service. Because there's workers, they're able to get there by the bus who actually, there's people out there that actually like doing blue-collar work. But if the people who actually like doing blue-collar work can't get to your city to do the blue-collar work that they enjoy, your service, your experience is going to suck when the elites go to that elite city to have fun. So if there was a bus route that goes from Columbia Heights to Brooklyn Center and then Brooklyn Center to Maple Grove, and the blue-collar workers can get there and work in Maple Grove, it would be perfect. And then we could just take the bus there, take the bus back home, and the bus needs to run every half an hour from 6:30 a.m. until 10:30 p.m. Because the latest that workers should be in Maple Grove is, in my opinion, is 10:30 p.m. So, because once buses run beyond 10:30 p.m., that's when trouble starts. So, if you run the bus between 6:30 and 10:30, 6:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m., and you have the bus come every half an hour, on that route, it's going to give more opportunities to blue-collar workers because there's people that love being bartenders. There's people who love being cashiers. There's people who love, working at restaurants, fast food places. That's why you see these 80-year-olds who've been at Burger King for the last 30 to 40 years because they like working there. But if we can make public transportation to an area like Maple Grove, from Columbia Heights, Brooklyn Center, to Maple Grove, it will give blue-collar workers that like doing blue-collar work more job opportunities. It'll make the elites who live in Maple Grove happy because they get better customer service experience. And then people be able to get there because the bus comes every half an hour. So it's win-win for everyone. And another bus route they need to make is from Maple Grove Transit Center to the Robbinsdale Transit Center. Because with that route, the blue-collar workers that live in New Hope, Crystal, they'll be able to they can take the bus one way and work at all the businesses in Maple Grove, or they can take the other way, get to the Robbinsdale transit station, where they can hop on a bus and then work at all the businesses in Robbinsdale. So if they built a city bus between the Maple Grove Transit Center and the Robbinsdale Transit Center, it would help all these disabled people, veterans, seniors that live in like New Hope, Crystal, and Northern Robbinsdale be able to work in Maple Grove and all the retail stores in Maple Grove and all the retail stores in Southern Robbinsdale. So that's another bus line that we need to build. So as blue collar workers, we can get access over there. We can access more jobs. And the good thing is, pretend if like you live in New Hope, you can take the bus to the Maple Grove Transit Center, and then if both routes are built, you can go from Maple Grove Transit Center to Brooklyn Center Transit Center, and then to Columbia Heights. So then you can get from Columbia Heights to New Hope without even needing to step into downtown. So that'd be kind of cool, having a bus from the Maple Grove Transit Center to the Robbinsdale Transit Center, and then having another bus that goes from Maple Grove Transit Center to the Brooklyn Center Transit Center, and then from the Brooklyn Transit Center to the Columbia Heights Transit Center. And then all the blue collar areas, people in that area, they can travel to all the good retail jobs in Maple Grove and do the blue collar jobs that they enjoy. Without needing to go through downtown Minneapolis, an area that they don't even need to go because they're not elite white collar workers. And then it'll give people in Maple Grove a way to get to downtown, the elite white collar workers, because they can go from downtown Maple Grove to Robbinsdale, and then from Robbinsdale to downtown Minneapolis. So it also gives those people up in Maple Grove who have to work in downtown a more reliable way to get to downtown. So it will connect all Hennepin County's most vulnerable communities to Maple Grove, one of Hennepin County's most important cities. Most people say Minneapolis is the most important city. Minneapolis is the most important city. No, that's for the white collar world. The white collar world, Minneapolis is Minnesota's most important city. But to the blue collar world, Minnesota's most important cities are Maple Grove, Wayzata, Edina, and Bloomington. In the people like me who are disabled, who can only get jobs in retail, the most important cities are Maple Grove, Wayzata, Edina, and Bloomington. So instead of building transit for the elite who need to go from their elite suburbs by train to downtown Minneapolis, instead of building transit for them, those people can afford a car. We need to start building transit that'll take blue-collar workers from their suburbs to Maple Grove, Wayzata, Edina, and Bloomington. So then blue-collar workers can get to those cities and work. And some blue-collar workers actually like working in those cities. When my old boss, she lives in frickin' Fridley, and then she Ubers all the way to Nordstrom Rack in Maple Grove because she loves working blue-collar work. She loves working in retail, And she loves the clients in Maple Grove. So she literally Ubers from Fridley to Maple Grove every single day for work because she loves working in Maple Grove. But if she had a bus where she could take the 10 to the Columbia Heights transit station and then take the bus from Columbia Heights to the Maple Grove transit station, she said she would take that. And then, and then she could still go work in Maple Grove where she loves to work without paying $20 to $30 just to get to work. So the people who live in Maple Grove, they don't understand how special their city is. They don't understand that people who live in like Columbia Heights, Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, New Hope, Crystal, Robbinsdale, we all want to work in Maple Grove. We all want to work in the retail stores in Maple Grove and at the shops at Arbor Lakes, but give them a good experience. We want to give the elites who live in Maple Grove a good experience. We want them to enjoy eating out. We want them to enjoy shopping. But if they don't build us a way for us to get there, for us to work at their stores and work at their restaurants, we can't provide them the best service. Like, to me, I don't mind working. Yeah, I do have my degree in IT support. And because of my low vision and my IT companies do not like hiring people with disabilities. They hire one or two people with disabilities and they give them gifts, they give them special treatment. So then they go out to the media and saying, Apple, Google, Microsoft likes hiring people with disabilities. Because Microsoft, Google, Facebook, these tech companies, they hire maybe one or two people with disabilities and give them special treatment. And then they go out to the media saying, these companies hire people with disabilities. Woohoo, they care. Well, truly, they don't care. So because of my disability, they discriminate against me and they don't hire me. Because they only pretend to care about people with disabilities. So then, I have my degree in IT support. So instead of me going in there working for an industry that hates us, I'm going to join retail. Because at retail, yes, I might be number 3, 6/10, whatever. But when I'm at the cash register, like helping people buy stuff, at least they appreciate me being there. IT industry doesn't appreciate disabled people being there. So I like working in some retail stores. I would kept on working for Nordstrom Rack if the store in downtown Minneapolis didn't close. If, the store in downtown Minneapolis didn't close, the Nordstrom Rack store, I would still be working for Nordstrom. I liked working for Nordstrom. The only sucky thing is my store that I worked with closed because this company didn't want to be in an area where there's less traffic anymore. Because downtown Minneapolis, all the elites now can work from home. So now the traffic in downtown Minneapolis is less. So they didn't want to be in an area where less people are going every year. So it makes sense, but if that store didn't close, I would still be working for that store because I loved working for the Nordstrom Rack in downtown Minneapolis. And then another bus route they need to build is from St. Cloud to the Monticello Walmart and Target. And then it needs to go to the Alville Outlet Mall. And then it needs to go to the Maple Grove Transit Station. And then it needs to go to the Robbinsdale Transit Station. And then it needs to go from the Robbinsdale Transit Station and go to downtown Minneapolis. And I would call that the ST bus or the STC bus because it would go from downtown St. Cloud / St. Cloud State University to downtown Minneapolis and have it go down 94 because, it'd be useful for the veterans who live up in St. Cloud to get the good medical care at Hennepin County Medical Center in downtown Minneapolis. So the bus, that's why I'm saying the bus needs to go from downtown St. Cloud to the Walmart and Target in Monticello, because I'm sorry to say the Walmart and Target in Monticello, Minnesota, are some of the best two design stores I have ever been to. And people from St. Cloud that are disabled or veterans, they would love to work at those stores, because the people in Monticello, they're more laid back, they're relaxed, they're all about baby culture, so they're all about making babies and having families, so they're a little bit more relaxed, and you know what I mean? So it'll be a good place for people up in with disabilities and veterans that live up in St. Cloud to work. And then the Walmart in Monticello is beautiful. It's a nice place to shop. So then disabled people and veterans, they can buy their shopping carts like what I have, and then they can hop on that bus and go shopping at the Monticello Walmart. I'm just going to say whoever designed that Monticello Walmart deserves to get a freaking medal from the state of Minnesota, because that's like one of the best Walmarts freaking ever. And then, then people can shop at the Monticello Walmart, and then they can take the bus back home to St. Cloud. And then, from the Monticello Walmart, they can get to Maple Grove. So then after that, they can do they can bring their shopping cart that they bought to Maple Grove, and they can shop at Total Wine, Bob's Discount Furniture, and all that stuff loaded up in their shopping cart, and then take the bus back home. And then if you go to the bus needs to stop at the Robbinsdale transit station, so then they can hop on the 14 to go to North Memorial. So then the people in St. Cloud have more healthcare options. And then from there they can the bus can take them to downtown Minneapolis, where the bus will end at Hennepin County Medical Center. The best place for veterans, disabled people, and senior citizens to get health care in the state of Minnesota that's not the Mayo Clinic. Because Mayo Clinic's private, Hennepin County Medical Center is the best public place to get health care. So... And then because the issue with the North Star is not reliable. The North Star train is not reliable because it has to share tracks with all the gas carrying trains that go from North Dakota to St. Paul, because there's a big oil refinery in St. Paul. So the issue is the North Star train has to share those tracks. So because the train has to share tracks with oil freights, the train can't run as efficiently as it needs to be good public transportation up to St. Cloud. So that's why they need to build a city bus that goes from St. Cloud to downtown Minneapolis, down 94. And the reason why the bus needs to stop at the Elberville Outlet Mall is because the Elberville Outlet Mall has all the main brands that any old lady wants to buy for their grandkids. So because St. Cloud doesn't have a Nike store, St. Cloud doesn't have an Under Armour store, St. Cloud doesn't have an American Eagle store, St. Cloud doesn't have these big high-end brands. So the people can hop on the bus and then get to the Elberville Outlet Mall, where they can take their shopping cart that they bought. I bought a shopping cart, so I can go shopping and hop on the city bus without looking like a scarecrow holding like 30 bags. So then because I can just put all my bags in my big shopping cart and just push that onto the bus. So and I can stand on the bus with my shopping cart full of stuff. And then they can hop, they can shop, they can fill up their shopping cart, and then they can take the bus back to St. Cloud. And the bus should come every about 30 minutes between maybe 8:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. Because going between St. Cloud and Minneapolis between 8:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. every half an hour sounds like a reasonable thing, and have it run Monday through Friday. So the seniors who, just want to go shopping and get to downtown, normally they're retired. And disabled people, they're working part-time because they don't want to mess up with their Social Security, so they have flexible schedules. And then the people who work in who live up in St. Cloud or Albertville or Monticello or Maple Grove or Robbinsdale, who work in downtown Minneapolis, can also take that bus, from St. Cloud all the way down to downtown Minneapolis, and that bus would be more reliable than taking the North Star train, who always has to stop because of the oil freights. So that would be also another good bus line for the state of Minnesota to build. Another bus line the state of Minnesota should build is the Maple Grove to Plymouth, through St. Louis Park, through Edina, and into Bloomington bus line. Because if, you live up in Maple Grove and you want to go to the Mall of America, it's the only way for you to get there pretty much is by car, because the Maple Grove bus that goes from Maple Grove to downtown Minneapolis kind of sucks because it only runs Monday through Friday, and it only runs in the mornings, and it only runs in the evenings. So there needs to, and then what if you live in Maple Grove but you want to work in Plymouth? Or what if you work in Plymouth and want to work in St. Louis Park? What if you live in St. Louis Park and want to work in Edina? And what if you're in Edina and you want to work in Bloomington? So there needs to be a bus that goes from the Maple Grove Transit Center in downtown Maple Grove by all the shops to the Plymouth Transit Center in downtown Plymouth, and then from the downtown Plymouth Transit Center to the St. Louis Park Transit Center, and then from the St. Louis Park Transit Center to the Southdale Mall in Edina, because that's where their transit center is, and then from the Southdale Mall in Edina to the Mall of America in Bloomington. So then, and then have the bus come every 30 minutes from 6:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. From 6:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. And then they can call that the MB bus from Maple Grove to Bloomington. And then people who need to go to Bloomington don't have to go through downtown Minneapolis, because they can go through all the safe suburbs on the bus to get to Bloomington instead of going through downtown Minneapolis. And then if you're a disabled person or senior, or you mean someone who can't afford a car and you work in Plymouth, you can take the bus from Maple Grove to Plymouth. Or pretend if you're in Plymouth, or pretend if you live in Maple Grove and you work in St. Louis Park, you can take the bus from Maple Grove to Plymouth, from Plymouth to St. Louis Park, get off that stop, and then you can walk to work or Uber to work from there. So, or take the St. Louis Park bus, they'll take you down the main roads in St. Louis Park. So that's also another good bus route through the West Metro. And then people, for example, if you're Columbia Heights and you want to work in Plymouth, that'd be good because you can take the bus, you can take the bus line, you can take that bus I said earlier to Maple Grove, hop on that bus that goes through the west suburbs to all the way into Bloomington, and then take that bus from that route to Plymouth without even needing to step in downtown. Because Minnesota's biggest flaw with our public transportation system is they make you go into downtown Minneapolis than to go out. And that's stupid. Why can I not just go from suburb to suburb to suburb to suburb to suburb and get to Bloomington, for example, going around the suburbs? So, and then it'll help teenagers after they're done with school and they want to go to the Mall of America, right? And they live in Plymouth. They can just hop on that bus, and then the parents don't have to worry about them traveling through downtown Minneapolis because the bus doesn't go through downtown Minneapolis. And then their kids can go hang out at the Mall of America and then in Bloomington, and then they can take that bus back and get off at Plymouth, at the Plymouth transit station, where their parents can pick them up. Because most parents, they don't want to send their teenagers through downtown Minneapolis where there's trouble. Their parents want to send them through safe areas. And if we build a bus that goes from Maple Grove through Plymouth, through St. Louis Park, through Edina, and then and then into Bloomington, those areas for most parents are safe. So if teenagers can hop on buses there to get to Bloomington with avoiding downtown Minneapolis, more parents would say, okay, cool. You want to go to Mall America after school? Hop on the bus and go. And then teenagers in those suburb cities would have more freedom. And then we just have to put ads on TikTok promoting these new and short video content on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels, promoting these new suburban bus lines. And we can have influencers like big ones that are not like Taylor Swift famous, but big influencers that are not expensive like Taylor Swift, come to Minnesota, make short content videos, make YouTube videos about all these new bus lines that we built in the suburbs. And then young people see it on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and then they find out about these bus lines, and then they take the bus instead of driving. Because the issue with Minnesota suburbs are, if you live in a suburb and you can drive, it's just easier if you want to go to another suburb north or south of you, just to drive, because there's no convenient bus to take you there. Because a lot of young people that are between 18 and 39, they don't really care that if the bus takes longer. They just care about saving the environment and getting to where they need to go. So, and then one more bus that they need to really build is the Mystic Lake buses. So they need to build a Mystic Lake bus that goes from the Maple Grove transit station to Mystic Lake, like an express bus. They'll take you right on the highway and right there. They need to put a bus in at the Columbia Heights transit station. That'll take you from Columbia Heights train station, right on the highway, straight to Mystic Lake. And then they need to do this. They already have one in Bloomington because of the Mall America. And they need to put one at the Southdale Mall in Edina that'll take you right from that transit station, right in the highway, right to Mystic Lake. Because gambling is slowly dying, and young people don't want to waste their money gambling. But if Mystic Lake built more express buses from the Columbia Heights Transit Center, the Maple Grove Transit Center, the Plymouth Transit Center, the Edina Transit Center / the Southdale Mall, and made it go directly from those transit centers to Mystic Lake and Shakopee, the more young people would go there for concerts, for Chinese buffet. I wish the Mystic Lake down in Shakopee would bring back the buffet, because young people, they would definitely take the Mystic Lake bus down to Shakopee, eat at the buffet, listen to free entertainment, and then maybe gamble. Because when they're drunk or drinking and they're listening to music and they're full from a buffet, they might gamble a little bit. But the issue is young people, if you live in Columbia Heights and you want to go to Shakopee, that's a 45-minute drive. And then by the time you get there, you're exhausted. But if you could just walk to or take the bus to the Columbia Heights transit station and just take a major bus to the casino, you can go on your phone, you can take pictures out the window, and you're not wasting your energy driving. So by the time you get to Mystic Lake and Shakopee, you're actually in a fun mood because you're not exhausted just trying to get there. And then when you're hungry, you can stop by the buffet, you can listen to free entertainment, then Then because you're not drained, maybe you can go gambling a little bit, you mean? And then Mystic Lake can become like a Las Vegas for millennials in Minnesota. So, the state just needs to invest more in our public transportation systems. And the state just has to remember, like Maple Grove, Wayzata, Edina, and Bloomington are the most important cities in the Minneapolis side of the river because they provide hundreds of jobs for blue-collar workers. And the state of Minnesota needs to stop thinking about the elite people who have the money to pay $3,000 rents to live along a train line that's going to go from Eden Prairie to downtown Minneapolis, because the most taxpayer money in Minnesota that comes from blue collar workers, and they need to start about thinking about blue collar workers first. I hope that you have a good day, guys, and I hope you please share and like this podcast episode. I know it was more of a rant, but I was feeling it today. So I hope you have a good day. Bye-bye.